This fella is a powerhouse little guy. He reminds you of a real stocky welterweight fighter, the stocky type. You know, he isn't a big fella like Rocky Marciano wasn't a big fella, but he's a stocky type and powerful, and he looks powerful. Wherever you look at him, he looks powerful. The only trouble with size in a horse is if he has to carry weight, a lot of weight. But in the Derby, they all carry the same weight, and that shouldn't bother him. What might bother him is the 1.25 miles.
Joe, how did you get interested in horses to start with?
Well, I got tired of working.
Yeah.
I used to look out the window when I was working in the factory. I'd look out the window and I'd see people walking around in the middle of the day. And I thought, my gosh, you know, how clever are they that they can walk around outside in the middle of the day and not be imprisoned like I am and working and sweating. I think, what do they have, a better education than I? They didn't look like it, you know, unless they're all milkmen or bakers or something that, you know, have the day off. So I thought, oh, I got to do something about this. I'm not going to hang around here. So I decided to get a job where I might be at the racetrack. So I went to, as a matter of fact, I walked into the Telegram one morning. That's another paper in Toronto.
I remember it well.
Yeah, and I asked for the sports editor, who happened to be J.P. Fitzgerald, a very fine man. And I said to Mr. Fitzgerald, I want to be a sports writer. He said, that's a good idea. He said, what are your qualifications? I said, well, I've got a college education. He said, well, you'll live that down in time. You know, we started from there.
Telescope. Brought to you by General Motors of Canada, makers of Canada's most popular cars and trucks, and Frigidaire appliances.
You know, Scott, no matter how many hundreds of times I walk into a racetrack, I get a big kick out of it. I love it.
Meet all the same people?
Well, everybody, you know, most of the people, and a lot of the people know you, and they seem to be glad to see you and all that. And, two, there's always a chance that today might be the day that we win $40,000.
Yeah.
So there's always that to look forward to. And, two, it's a kind of a good life. You know, it's better than working.
What do you got that's good today, Joe?
Oh, Scott, if I had a $10 bill for every time I've asked myself that, at the racetrack, I'd have more money than E.P. Taylor. Louise, how are you today?
Hi, Mr. Furlow.
Anything you want to tell me, like
Not a
tips
thing.
in the first race or third race?
There are 8.
Do you like anything
in
today? In here, eh?
Other than that, I can't help it.
Well, we'll take a look.
Sorry.
There's nothing in there but the name of Louise, so there's nothing I can bet on.
Nope.
Usually, you know, I hook up with some of the chaps I know, like Carl Chapman, the trainer, and Mike Armstrong, my opposite number from the Telegram. And today, too, Bill Durnan's around. He used to play a lot of golf for Montreal Canadiens, but he doesn't know much about picking horses. And, okay, we talk about horses and things, and once in a while we bet a few dollars.
Walter the
Well, men, what do you say?
Oh, Joe. Hi, Joe. Hi.
Have that long one?
No, I didn't have the long one. The man didn't like it too much.
You're going for 7 straight winners with this one, aren't you, Joe?
I've had 7 winners all season.
Short
No,
season.
what are you saying here? Who says? Sweet Lady Briar? Somebody?
I like
Bet a little bit on him.
I like Fish's horse.
Multivini?
Multivini?
Yeah. I'll tell you, he runs with some pretty good horses now, and he's an old one. He's 4 of the most good horses in this race are all 3-year-olds. That
Yeah.
Sweet Lady Briar's pretty well bred. Yeah, she's out of a mare that
parading lady.
Mrs. Churchill man paid $75,000 for her in full to Round Table.
Yeah, to Round Table, that's another, what?
He's about he's 12,500 to.
That's why the mare was worth 75,000. Happened to be in full the Round Table.
Yeah.
And the Round Table, like Chappie says, he's 12,500. You know, for stud feet.
Yeah.
That's if you know the right people.
Well,
What would be your second one?
Well, I'd have to go for that Morris Fishman's horse, Multi Benny. And apparently Winfield's have got a decent one up there with Hardhead. Who's he? I don't even know him.
He's a foreign horse. He's an English-bred horse, I think.
Here's Koletsky's got a native dancer filly in the race too.
Yeah. You're confusing all our show bettors,
Well,
you know.
it's a tough race. It's 11 horses, and
Yeah.
they're 3-year-olds in it and 4-year-olds. This isn't a race where a man should go and put a plaster on his house, you know.
You going to pass this race up?
No, I've decided I'm going to make a bet.
You got a bet, are you?
Yeah, Avellino Gomez on that Italian horse looks pretty good. Bill, will you come in?
Multi Benny.
Yeah.
What's he?
Number 9.
Number 9.
Might as well spend some of this money before it gets old in my pocket.
$5.
$5.
Good even.
5 is enough.
Can you move over left a little bit, Joe?
Avellino, you were telling me that you think Northern Dancer is going to win the Kentucky Derby.
In my book, I pick it to win in Cup everybody.
Or anything.
Out of anybody.
You think he's the best 3-year-old in America right
Today,
now?
yeah. I think so.
Now, how about
Yes.
with Hardtack? There's a little bit of discussion, Gomi, that Hardtack might not have them out on Northern Dancer in the Derby.
Well, I don't think, what I think is he's going to run him in a bluegrass. If he get along good with the colt, he's going to run him in a derby.
Right. Now, if he doesn't get along good with the colt, who would you think might
He's
ride?
going to find the Chinese jockey now. Well, now, if he pour me under the bridge, I might go and ride him.
They pour you under the bridge.
Have to pour
We'll
him.
float you over the falls.
Now, we were sitting one day in the turf club at Fort Erie, and there was Mike and myself, and Bill Densmore, who owns horses, and Carl Chapman, who was a top trainer, and Johnny Starr, who was a top trainer, and a couple other fellows, and Henry Wright here, our good friend, who runs the bets for us, and there was a stake race, the Vanville Stakes, 2-year-olds, and Jack Hood had his filly in the first half. So we were all going to bet on Labeled, and she was 7-5 or something like that. And I said to Henry, I recall that the girl that was in the ladies' room in the turf club, she was friends with the grooms, is that right, of the Doug Davis stable? That's correct. So I said to Henry, I said, why don't you go and knock on the door of the ladies' room and ask that girl what the
not kidding.
headphone, yeah, this, he did. What do they think of this, their horse in this first half, Princess Develle, if you recall, Princess Develle. So Henry went, knocked on the door, and he come back and he said, she done told me that they thinks there's no human way they can be defeated.
Oh, my God. He was
So
pretty sure.
instead of betting on Labeled, we all bet on Princess Develle, and she win in a gallop. But the same stable had a horse in the second half called Wilcock. And Jack Stafford had Royal Spirit in the race. Remember Royal
Yeah.
Spirit? She was favored. I said, Henry, take this money to this girl in the ladies' room and ask her what they thought of this Wilcock, the second half. He come back and he said, they done told her this is the one they really likes.
Oh.
So we all bet on Wilcock, and he win in a gallop, paid $9 or $10. Now here are all the experts You know, betting on information from the ladies' room.
You know, Joe, Henry comes up with different ways of getting tips for people. One day I asked Henry, I says, Henry, what about Chappie's horse today? He says, Rudy, I'll tell you this. I'll give you the right information. I says, well, I've had a bad day. I'd like the right information. He says, Chappie says the horse don't like the track. He's a little sore. And on top of that, the race is a little short for him. I said, that's enough information. I went into the mutuals and bet Chappie's horse at winning a very good price. So this is a reverse of getting the right information.
I read a paper the other day, a newspaper, 6 winners. You ask him, how many you bet? Neither one. Neither one.
You know, in Montreal, they had a bank robbery the other day, and they grabbed...
Well, I wasn't no there.
Like
I wasn't no there.
They grabbed 600,000. You know who was the only loser? Gomez. It was all his money they took.
No, that's funny. It's true. You know, the worst out, the worst tippers is the jockeys. The trainer's worst, too. I never find a trainer in a party say, Gomez, don't try because you can't win.
Never say that.
I never see in my life.
See, we have to pick from memory. Like, I'll pick today, Thursday's races, and we don't see if past performances or anything. So all you can do is pick from memory. You know what you saw. We get the overnight sheet, and we know. After a bit, we get to know the horses and remember what they did last time out. You know what most trainers have in their mind, so you ask them. You know, what about this fella? What about that one? How come this one didn't run so good the other day or something, you know? Actually, a race rider's mind is a massive encyclopedia, you know.
I know.
Yeah, you know. I don't know if you played bridge, but a good bridge player can remember a hand 10 years later. And often you can remember a race months later. You can see the race the way it was.
Does this ever do you any good yourself as a bettor?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it does, and that's why I don't have a yacht. Yeah, and I don't own a Cadillac. No, these things do help if you're inclined to bet. If you're that insane, you know, like a man in my position shouldn't bet. Let him work for a living. You know, but I do. I bet too often and too much, and the result is that I'm broke all the time. But I've been in it a long time, and I'm here, and I raised a family, and I've got a son who's a graduate of the University of Miami. He's teaching school, and I owe my tailor a lot of money. You don't get to these things without knowing something, you know.
Yeah.
One thing I learned fast about this game was that you don't have to get up with the birds to get the word on horses. You can get that in the afternoon, and actually it's the easiest job in the world. You go to the races, you sit around and tell lies with a few of the guys, and you have a bite of lunch, and maybe you drink a sarsaparilla or something, and you just drag your money to the bank and there's nothing to it. The only thing I hate about the job is having to sit down eventually and write a yarn of some kind. I guess it's time to work, eh? Late again? What'd you take? You take anything?
Yeah, I took the favorite, Von Rich.
Well,
He was in a little trouble the other day, you know. Yeah. I'm trying to make Fitzsimmons win 3.
oh, asking quite a bit. $4.50.
What kind of a Chinese deal is this?
I don't know. I don't understand.
That's an idea I never thought of.
Straight from Kentucky.
Up, down, and in the middle. Bet the queen.
Louisville Joe.
He looked after us, gave us each an 8.
I saw something in the back of
But
my
he gave us
car.
a big chance.
I call. I'll play.
I play.
We got a big chance.
Not with me.
I'll give her a little call, see what happens.
I don't like those kind of cards. Big ace.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. That do make it nice.
And a deuce. Ace
Oh,
deuce.
we got to try.
No.
I'm gonna have to go soon, I think. Once more.
I want a raise.
Oh, come on.
Smell
Chap.
coming, I smell.
Well,
what's
it's pretty
wrong?
good
Nothing
sense
wrong
to
with
me.
that.
Are you kidding?
It's all
He
right.
wants your money,
As long as he
Mike.
puts the money in.
A deuce.
Well, that was all.
Another.
Can't argue with those fellers.
A three hard.
That was
Three odds to the betting there, Harry.
You know you're on television, Joe.
I know that.
Yeah, that's right tonight. Play.
Chapnick wasn't raising.
I was
Seven.
being nice.
Well,
Pair of
Look
six.
at
Pair of
that.
sixes.
Pair of
they're
aces.
filming this,
Two
okay,
aces,
so who
right.
was playing?
Isn't that cute?
They bet on it. I call.
Got to go.
We left a man. We lost
You
one.
just lost it.
Lost
We
the
lost an
player?
aircraft, Jeff. Lost
well,
an aircraft.
Unfriendly.
Oh, this is beautiful.
You're friendly.
Oh, how nice.
How you playing there, Joe?
Oh, nice.
You all dealt
Oh,
That's the end of the
I
day.
want to get your cards separated around so I can see where I'm betting against.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Chap, can you beat those aces,
I'm
Chap?
betting $1. And if you think I can't beat them, put $1 in and I'll tell you how I'm beating them.
Well, I'll put $1 in, and we'll see.
How is that?
what is this? Why is everybody folding? What is
got?
it?
We just
Fordham?
conceded.
No, I was looking for
Deuce is
odds.
wild yet, boys.
Joe, do you think it's be worthwhile to go down to
sorry.
Kentucky for the Derby?
You want to say Canadian bred Derby winner?
Well, you wouldn't mean Frank Sherman's horse, Grand Garcon, or anything like that, would
He might be second.
you? You believe that Northern Dancer should win this thing, do you?
He shall.
He shall.
He shall.
He should.
It's okay, Rick. I'll chop away in.
That's Hillrise over there. Yep.
$25. Yeah, he just doubled Luro's 25%. Oh, yeah. Pedro Godoy.
That's a nice size horse. A lot bigger horse than the Dancer. There's Northern Dancer going out for a work with his trainer, Senor Horatio Luro. We'll catch the Senor back at the barn when he comes back in. There'll be about 100 other guys who have the same idea.
What percentage of importance the rider was to winning the Derby? Finnegan thought the rider was 50% and the horse was 50%. Birch said the horse was 90%.
I think it's 75, the horse, 25, the rider. So I think that 25 could make a great difference if you use it in one way or the other. When you have a rider with the record of hardtack, that makes it more than 25.
Schumacher would know more about your horse than Hardtack, do you think?
This boy rode him the other day in the bluegrass, and he showed me that he fit him perfect. He has a perfect knowledge and has a better record than Shoemaker for a Derby.
There's really nothing North America like Derby Day. Nothing at all. It's like Great Cup Day, Firecracker Day, Queen's Plate Day, the Ringling Brothers Circus all rolled into one. I love it.
Nice cold mint julep here. Nice cold mint julep here.
I won $10 to win on numbers. Did you bet 10 to win on it?
I'm about to. Going
You're
to.
supposed to.
This should be a mint julep, shouldn't it?
No, it's a beer. It's a plain old beer.
Yeah, I'll hold this crook.
The whole neighborhood is a matter I don't know, but this is what I bet. Hmm? Oh, you told me you put it on place. Well, Anita gave me $2 and I put it on place. You bet mine, not Anita's.
Hi, winner, Dan Carter. Got him again today, Dan Carter. Long shot.
Going down there now, number 7. With that white splash on his face and the 3 white stockings. That's a big field, and it isn't going to be easy to get the dancer over to the rail and save some ground. Hardtack is moving over a bit. He's going to get over to the rail sooner or later. And he's just inside of Hillrise. Or he's going to be inside of Hillrise shortly. Let's take a closer look now. Now at this point, Northern Dancer is about 6th, about a head in front of Hillrise, with Mr. Brick in front and the Scoundrel right next. And here comes Hardtack with the Dancer now on the outside. He's got the jump on Hillrise and Schumacher, and he's moving to the outside of the Scoundrel right now, and moving real easy with Hillrise coming up right behind him. They're coming around the turn. And Hardtack is moving towards the front of the Scoundrel. And that's him with the blaze on his face. There he comes. Real close in, too, they are. But he's moved to the front. And right behind him is Hillrise. He's down to the front now. There's Hardtack pushing on him and looking to see where Hillrise is, who's right behind him. And he's going to win it. He's going to win it. Hillrise can't catch him. This Dancer is going to win it. And he does win it. Not by much. It's a neck. Not by much, but he won it. And there'll be a lot of people thinking that maybe he shouldn't have won it. Maybe they don't believe him. But this is a real courageous colt, and he runs his heart out. There's E.P. Taylor. This is a great moment for him in his life, which has been a big one. He's always dreamt of this. He didn't believe he could do it, but he dreamt of it, and he did it.
The result of the 7th race, the Kentucky Derby, now official.
He bred a Canadian horse that won the Derby, the first one in the history of the Derby. That's the first leg of the coveted Triple Crown. The Preakness comes next in the Belmont. And it's really a vintage year for us turf riders in Canada. A vintage year.
Telescope has been brought to you by General Motors of Canada, makers of Canada's most popular cars and trucks, and Frigidaire appliances.